The Land in the Sky is the title to this, and it's from a totem pole that my father carved for Century 21, I believe, for Seattle. And it was a story. He transposed the legend onto the totem pole. And certain figures on the totem pole stand for certain activities in the legend. And so the story goes like this. There were two brothers of the Lummi tribe. One was an Indian doctor, a very strong Indian doctor, and the other was a hunter, a very good hunter. And these were the types of men who monitored the village. The people had enough food. Everyone was well, no one was sick, and there was peace in the community. And so they went walking onto the sandbar, which is now called Sandy Point. They walked onto that island, which is a peninsula, mostly of sand, and a little mink was following them. Little mink had followed them, and the hunter brother knew that mink was around, but he wasn't telling his Indian doctor brother at all. He just kept watch over the mink. And they had a canoe, and it was turned upside down on the beach and had been that way for some time. They had walked to where they were from the village that was up on the mainland, away from the sand, up on the mainland. They call it Neptune Beach. And so the village was up there in a little valley from the hillside that made Neptune Beach. And the village was right here. Well, these two men deciding that everything was going so well with their village, they thought they would find something new. And when they looked into the sky seemed to be solid, lower. It was lower then. Long ago, the sky was always lower. And when they saw that there was a cloud hanging like this from the sky, they thought it has to be around something. And so they waited and waited to see the activity of that one cloud. Well, they saw that there was something hanging, and the hunter brother told the mink, shiny brown mink, watch our canoe. We're going to go to wherever this leads us. Mother Earth rose up from the earth. Mother Earth looked at these men. She said, I know your intentions. When you go up there, I want you to take this bag. She reached down and pulled a bag up. Use this bag for everything you find on the trail. Put it into the bag. And she picked up from her apron, here's 5 smooth stones. And she blew on them 4 times, and she gave them to the hunter brother. Use them whenever you're in trouble and you find no other way to escape. Use these. And so the hunter brother put them in his pouch. Then they looked up at the sky and they saw the form. And the hunter brother shot his arrow, boom, right into that. Oh, good, it is solid. And so he shot another one until he made a ladder with his arrows. The Indian doctor brother sang his song of traveling. He made them light enough to climb on this fragile ladder, and up they went. Oh, when they reached the land in the sky and they looked around, everything was kind of disappointing. Gray mountains, gray rocks, gray lakes, gray this and gray that. Everywhere they looked, they started to walk. They looked around, they rested, they walked again, making sure that they kept track of this hole in the sky. And they kept track and walked around and about it. Then they heard voices, beautiful voices. They were women laughing and talking and screaming. And these were women in a lake. And they were swimming and having a good time. And these brothers sneaked up on them. They didn't bother them. They left them just as they were. And they listened and listened to see if they could understand what they were saying. But one had a silver bracelet, and wherever she went, the silver bracelet acted like a flashlight, searchlight on both arms. The other girl had golden ones, just as gold could be, and everywhere she pointed them, there was a golden ray. And these boys studied and studied. They could see their clothes way over there, so they snuck around to where the girls' clothes were. And the girls kind of caught on to their sneaking around. And when they saw them snatch the clothes, they went over there and started hollering, "No, no, no, don't take our clothes." And the boy said, "We don't want anything. We don't want anything. We want just to know you, just to see you, just to know who you are. We come from Lummi. We come to see this great land of yours. We want to see what is up here." And so the hunter brother spoke for the Indian doctor brother. And so they were able then to get across to the girls. They meant no harm. They gave the clothes back. And the girls put on the clothes. And when they walked, the girl said, "I'll take you to my father. You can talk to him. If you have any business to do, you talk to my father. Man Moon is my father." Oh, the shudder kind of shuddered in the heart of the hunter. His heart started to pound harder and harder because they were getting close to this giant house. And then when they got to the doorway, they stepped up these giant steps, and they knew that this Man Moon must have been a giant. So they got up to the top step, and they stood there very quietly, but they could hear the rumbling voice, the growling voice of Man Moon. They knew from legends that Man Moon was mean. Man Moon was cold. He was talked in growls and grunts and didn't like anybody. And so when they heard him talking, Man Moon was saying, "I knew you were coming. I knew you were coming. Sooner or later, I knew you'd be here." And so the girl started talking to her father. She says, "Father, we just want to feed these men so they can go back home. They're not going to bother anybody or anything." "Oh, if you want to feed them, if you have to feed them, you get your own food. You get your own food." And he laughed to himself. How are they going to get their own food up here when they don't know anything about my land? And so he told the girls, "My pantry is empty. You go out and get your own food. Come back and you can use my table if you have to dirty it." And so he told the girls what they could do. But before they come in, Man Moon had a wedge on top of his door. And when the hunter brother observed the door, he could see the blade hidden in the crack of the doorway. And he knew what it would do. Just as soon as they opened it, it would fall. And so what he did was, Mother Earth had advised him to use these 5 rocks, smooth as they were. He threw one across the doorway, and it held the blade up. And they walked in. And Man Moon says, "You got away with that one. Just see if you can get away with the next one." They got in and they looked around for the fire and the wood and the food that they might use, the utensils that they might use to cook. And the hunter brother says, "I'll go out," he told the medicine doctor. "I'll go out and find some food." He went out and he looked into the sky. What am I to see? He saw stars upon stars upon stars, and he heard a voice. "What are you looking for, my friend? Are you hungry?" A gentle man's voice speaking to the hunter. And the hunter said, "Yes, we are planning a meal in Man Moon's house. And I'm sent out to find food as I'm a hunter in the land of the Lummi." And it must have been Orion speaking to this young hunter. "There's ducks over here. There's deer over here. Pick what you want and take it to be cooked by the daughter of the sun and the daughter of the moon." So he used his magic arrow, and he got ducks, and he got a deer, and put them over his shoulder and carried them to the house. The girls prepared the food. Oh, they were singing as they prepared the food. Their hearts were in a good place. They were happy to feed these men. Well, when they finished eating, Man Moon was saying, "This is it. They're not going to stay another minute. This is it. They're not going to stay here. I don't want them to come and dirty up my home." And so he said, "Well, now you must leave." So they stood up to him and they said, "We thank you for your hospitality. Man Moon, thank you for your hospitality." And when they turned their back to walk out, Man Moon had a little smile on his face because he was calling his moon warriors, and he thought, they think they're going to get away down into that hole. Oh, no, they're not. He, using his mental telepathy, he was calling all of the moon warriors to gather in one spot. And so when the boys went out, they could feel the tension in the air, but they didn't know what the plan was. So they kept walking with the girls. The girls led them, and the moon warriors saw that the girls were protecting these men from Lummi. But they were trying to get closer and closer and closer, listening to what they were saying. So they were picking everything up and putting it in this bag. Everything from sticks, from skeletons, from broken weapons. They were putting everything of every shape and size and weight into this bag. The Indian doctor was watching this bag fill up. And when they were close to where they could go back home, well, the Indian doctor brother said, "I feel the enemy upon us." And the hunter brother says, "I do too." But the girls were close to them, protecting them as closely as they could, talking to them. And the boys were interested in the girls, and the girls were interested in the boys. And it was their agreement that they come to the land of Lummi with the boys. The daughter of the sun would marry the Indian doctor. The daughter of the moon would marry the excellent hunter. That was their plan as they were standing by the hole in the sky. The moon warriors were making themselves heard, and they were screeching at these people. So the Indian doctor brother says, "It's my turn." He told his brother, "Take the other side of the bag and we'll shake it together." So they took the other side of the bag and they shook, and he sang his song, his medicine song. On and on he sang. Pretty soon everything in that bag come alive, attached to each other. Part of a weapon, part of a skeleton, part of a bone, part of a stone. Everything was latched together, and they come flying out. And they flew this way, that way, this way. Everywhere they went, the magic of the song was able to conquer these moon warriors, and they sunk into the hole. And coming down the back of the pole, you could see the lady's hair waving in the speed on down, and Mother Earth was down below with the mink waiting for their return. And the totem pole is red from the front up and from the top down the back. And when they returned, Mother Earth was waiting, and so was the mink. The strange part was the mink was now all gray. And this part of the legend, I wonder how long the brothers might have been up there, because the mink was young and brown and shiny when they left, but when they come back to Mother Earth, the mink was all gray.